All right, everyone, we have to discuss wired sources again because they've begun fighting back against Twitter's censorship. I mentioned wired sources a few days ago, and they actually are using a different account now. It's Source Report, I believe. A link in the description. Source Report, sorry. And they've got a lot of followers, and they'll be using that to collate out their material. Apparently, according to what they're saying, this issue over them being suspended on Twitter it wasn't like naughty behavior, it was a trademark sort of dispute. So like something copyright related, and I'm thinking to myself, since Wired Sources predominantly just tweets out basic opinion, which you can't have a trademark on that, with like news reports from third-party sites and things, how could you possibly violate someone's trademark? Is Twitter saying that you can get in trouble if someone doesn't want you to share out like links to their material? Like, they're not allowed to use our links and talk about them. Like that's our brand or our copyright or something. Twitter might start doing that. Who knows? They've been imposing a bunch of other dumb rules constantly and then selectively enforcing them to grind down whoever they don't like. I think it's a miracle I'm still on Twitter at this point. It's like, considering the fact that Jack says that he has his secret police, his Gestapo goes around to make sure that you're not breaking Twitter rules on other sites too, which is kind of weird and dystopian. A lot of people didn't even notice that change, the TOS, by the way. It's basically, well, if we find you being naughty elsewhere, we might kick you off because we don't want you using Twitter to promulgate your message. Because I guess the idea was that so-called white nationalists, who some of these people are like MAGA populists anyway, they're more tame on Twitter to follow the rules on Twitter so they wouldn't get banned, and then they got banned because like off-site they were being more edgy, and it was really funny. So it's like, the kind of things you can say on YouTube even at this point are considerably greater than the number of things that you can say on Twitter. YouTube is less censored. Facebook might be less censored at this moment. You might get algorithmically manipulated, but to have a page removed or content removed, now threshold I think is still a little bit higher, of course. I may not know at this point because it's been months since I've seriously used Facebook. I don't know, I just fucking hate it as a platform. It really is that terrible and boring and dumb. I don't know why anyone continues to bother really actively using it for anything other than its messaging. Because the messenger, although it's obviously not secure, is faster and better than, Gmail at this point. Gmail just changed and fucked up their own system. I don't know why. That they had it so that you could switch back. And I guess most people, because they hid that option over in settings, most people did. So they said, people like the new Gmail, it's wonderful. Feedback we got to like 99% negative, but they didn't bother to switch back, so it's okay, even though it for some odd reason it's slower, it's clunkier, it's not as streamlined as it used to be. I don't know what they're thinking. So good luck to Wired Sources, because now that they've come out and said, yeah, we're going to use this other Twitter account, which I don't think is fully theirs. I think it's like a sharing deal or something. Now that they've done that, that might get banned too. It's only a matter of time, probably, but the thing is they're disputing the initial claim that brought their first account down. They're saying that it's false. Probably is. It was probably either a raiding attempt or a bot, some algorithm that wasn't even manually checked yet. Sometimes it can take a while for these corporations to get around to it. Like, remember, when I got that false positive strike on YouTube, of all places, it took 3 days to get the material reinstated. Not because I was breaking any rule or there was any great figuring out to do. It was obvious that the algorithm had, had a brain fart, basically. Simply because of a lack of staff, I guess, and time slots to do it in. They should probably give priority to larger creators if they don't want to alienate them. Twitter does the exact opposite. Like, the larger a person gets, the more likely they seem to be to get fucked over by Twitter at this point. It's very, very funny. Partially due to rating, which they themselves have incentivized, which could have been responsible for this. But Wired Sources is like, they just share out news tips and breaking alerts and stuff like that. It's sort of like that breaking 911 account. Although that I think is more, largely known and maybe less on the political side. A lot of that has to do with like natural disasters. At this point, being able to get your news through some sort of third-party system is almost fully necessary. It's like YouTube's subscription system's still buggy. It appears to be kind of improving, but it's still buggy. If you're going for all media, though, it's not just all YouTube. And so you need something to collate things out. It's interesting to see how literally you have careers being made by both people and organizations out of doing what Matt Drudge essentially does, which is 99% posting other links in one place in a organized framework. Of course, Matt Drudge has held off bothering to bring his site past the mid 1990s, but that's part of the novelty, I guess. I like Wired Sources. I was subscribed to them on Twitter. I was a follower of theirs on Twitter. And then they get banned, and it's like, oh yeah, well, fuck me in the ass. I guess I don't have a right to consume that information because of a trademark dispute. Trademark complaint. Why? Is Wired Sources like trademarked in Venezuela or something? Did Maduro decide to become a copyright troll or something? Probably did. Sometimes I bet that's politically motivated. I wouldn't be surprised if the next step in the highly political war is to start copyrighting and trademarking things, specifically to screw political movements. I really wouldn't be surprised if that happens. You get organized efforts by some of these large corporations to fuck their competitors by buying up copyrights and domain names and things that might be related to smaller brands that are rising up to challenge them. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. I'm really not kidding, because it would be cheap compared to the long-term payoff. They have a lot of money, so they probably will try that at some point. That's about all. Peace out.